Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Shubamjeet Singh, Automation Advisor at Accelirate, and I'll be your moderator for the session, How Insurance Companies Can Leverage Automation 2.0. So this is not more a technical side of how the bots are built, but this is more about that why so many automation programs in insurance feel stuck while scaling. What changes when you being treating automation as a digital workforce, or how leading insurance companies are scaling this approach to create a real business impact. As we see that increasing claim volumes, down times while scaling, also the talent is changing across operations. So senior leadership, if I talk about senior leadership, they are looking for some increase in efficiency, processes which are going down. And this is something, there is where I think that a digital workforce can be really useful. Or I talk about automation 2.0. As a lot of companies are saying that they have done the automation, but it is not transformation yet. So that is what exactly we will be talking today. For that, I have two amazing colleagues. We have done one session earlier as well. So we have Pratiksha Singh, a project manager for the automation side, where she's actually working on the ground and implementing projects in insurance organization. And we have a digital transformation leader, Mike Walker, who has done work with a lot of organizations in insurance and other domains as well, where he has given a proper vision that how we can transform the traditional RPAs into digital workforce, digital ecosystems. So welcome, Mike and Pratiksha. Starting with you, Mike. So since you have a lot of experience working with different organizations, so according to you, that why while scaling in automation, why the companies are not able to cross that ceiling, right? Or how they can implement, or how can they how can they change their traditional RPA ecosystem if they're going to implement a digital workforce? How you are saying it?
Sure. So yeah, good to be here for another session and talk about this topic, right? So, from my position, I agree with you that I think the insurance industry is one of the original early adopters of automation and especially RPA, just because of the huge amounts of data that's processed, you know, in the different organizations within insurance companies, from claims to billing to customer service to all facets of industry, right? As you fast forward some years, if you go back and look at some of those same organizations, a lot of them haven't necessarily scaled beyond the original processes that hit production, right? And I don't think that's because of the intent not to scale. I think it's just because they're somewhat stuck, right? And there's a couple of reasons for that, right? Could be from organizational silos, such as we implemented this at a point in time, not anticipating some of the challenges that would come. It could be that you're overlaying some of these processes on legacy systems that were scheduled to be decommissioned at some point, and we didn't get on the other side of that. It could be simply change management, right? Sometimes you get to a point where things work, but to take the second step to actually scale becomes a bit of an adoption challenge. That can be a technical issue. It could be a change management issue. Not to steal some of the thunder that Pratiksha will go into, but one of the things that I see from an RPA perspective as we go into some of the more agentic era is, uh, you know, RPA acts as a human would when it comes to interfaces with different parts of the process, right?
Okay.
And from if it's going to access one application from the UI, that in
Mhm.
itself can be a choke point, right? As opposed to in modern times or modern deployments, that same process would be designed from the access via an API call, right? Much more robust, much more structured, and can handle much more throughput, right? So again, I'm not going to steal Pratiksha's thunder here. But overall, from what I see, the transition from individual automated process to a full digital workforce ecosystem is where we've come to. So here's an example, right? And Pratiksha, help me finish this example out. But what are some common modernization, I guess, techniques that you see when you examine a process, right? What's a low hanging fruit that if you look at a process that can easily be refreshed to be more robust?
Okay. So, hi everyone, first of all. And I would like to start with what Mike just explained, that I have worked with like multiple domains, but I think insurance domain is the one where I have felt that there is a lot of crunch, right? And there is a huge need of automation. And now that we do have that automation in place for insurance industries, I think now that bots has capability to integrate with AI,
Hmm.
and now the bots are smarter than ever, right? They can take decisions and they can act on it. So currently the automations which we have, like the existing automations which we have, the traditional automations which we have, those were only able to process like structured data. So there, if I take one example, so in insurance domain there is a process called underwriting, right? So
Hmm.
with in every insurance company there are underwriters who decides, who evaluates the client's profile, and they decide what is going to be the premium for that client, right? They take decisions based on the risk associated with the client's profile. They evaluate their profile, their age, and it depends on what kind of insurance it is. So
Hmm.
they evaluate everything. But for those evaluations also, we do have some business processes in place, right,
Okay.
which can take a lot of time. So, what existing automations are already helping insurers and underwriters to do their job. But I feel like now is the time where earlier automations were only working with structured data, right? But now
Hmm.
we are the data is coming in multiple formats. It could be in an email attachment, PDF attachment. It could be in the body of the email, or it could be any other document. So now bot has capability to handle structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data as well. So this is just one simple example, and this is a very basic process which happens in every insurance domain organization, the underwriting, right? So I've just given one simple example that we do have features in place which can take these bots to the next level, and they can help even more, right? There are processes, there are UiPath features, the automation platform features which can help us achieve that. So there's a feature called communication mining. It
Hmm.
works with the AI integration, and it can extract data from any kind of format. So there are multiple such functionalities available to us which we can leverage in order to achieve our goal. So yeah, and then there are API integration services. There are I think in my previous webinar also I explained about Action Center. So I understand that when
Hmm.
we are dealing with financial data, sometimes we cannot give all the access to the bot to take a call, right? Sometimes we want to have some level of authority, right? We cannot allocate all level of permissions. So if there are such scenarios where we feel like we want to restrict the bot, and we don't want bot to take the call in certain scenarios, if the amount is too high, or if in any exceptional scenario, then bot can send those transaction to Action Center, and it can keep human in loop in order to take decision, right? We have machine learning models in place which can learn, adapt, and we can continue to improve those machine learning models as well, in order for them to work along with our business process the way we want to. So yeah.
So it's more like a digital workforce, which is working alongside people,
Yeah,
having their own governance KPIs and I think scalability, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I would say another thing that I see in the transition of going to scale is originally when RPA processes hit production, the amount of exceptions that would come up, right? And I think that would become a challenge to the business to actually trust the process because of the amount of exceptions that would be generated. If you go back and look at that same process today, those type processes, that's an opportunity to integrate some level of decision making um, from an agentic perspective. And I think you touched on that a little bit, Pratiksha. Um, can you double back on that? Because I think that's probably a good point for a lot of our listeners.
Yeah,
When it,
definitely. So I feel like earlier, like to be very frank, when I started working with UiPath, I used to see a lot of exceptions around very simple things, right? Whenever some minor changes were happening in the website, there was always an exception. So I think that was the start of the RPA, and there at that time we did not had such AI integration facilities available to us. So we had to, like, the ROC team, basically the team who is responsible for managing the bots when the bots goes into the production. So bots gets developed, it gets into the production, and after hypercare, which is typically of 1 or 2 weeks, then after that there is a team who is handling the bots. And as a Accelerate, we provide that service. Okay, so Accelerate has ROC team, basically robotic operations center, which provides the complete support to the bot, let it be small changes, or let it be any major functionality changes which business wants in the existing bots, right? So earlier, what I feel like earlier when I started working, I noticed that we were majorly fixing some selector issues, something, if something changes in the website, we used to address that manually. If some unexpected pop-up was appearing on the website, we used to handle it manually. But now, with now we are talking about digital workforce, right? So not necessarily that anyone needs to handle that manually, right? No resource is required for that, no enhancement is required for that. We do have a capability available within our tools which can handle that kind of scenario automatically, right? So it has
Hmm.
drastically reduced the number of exceptions which were getting caused due to very small issues, right? Because earlier automation used to run based on a rule based process, but now, yeah, we do have such features which can work, and in those features incorporate with AI, they can make decisions also.
So comparatively, if you talk about the traditional RPAs,
Mhm.
the yeah, so and the digital workforce. So how much monitoring difference is there? So if we have around 10, 12, or 15 bots in place, so what is, if I talk about the difference between traditional RPAs and digital workforce? So what is the difference over there?
Sorry, just
How much monitoring is required if I talk about digital workforce? So you mentioned that they mostly take care of everything on their own, right?
Mhm.
But still, I mean, you need a support system, a support, some human being to take care of that.
Okay.
So how much difference is there?
Okay, there's definitely a very huge difference, because
Hmm.
now we have like APIs, right? We have integrated.
Hmm.
There is, whenever we talk about production support, whenever we talk about the operation centers, there is always a ticketing tool in place, right?
Hmm.
There is always an alerting system in place. So what we have done for most of our clients, we have
Uh-huh.
integrated ServiceNow APIs within our automation. So whenever something goes wrong in any of the automations, and if bot is not able to auto heal, again, auto healing is a capability within our tool which we can use for our automations. So if it is
Hmm.
not able to auto heal, and if there is some unexpected scenario which bot is not able to overcome, then bot will log in using the ServiceNow API, or it can be, it can be any tool. I'm just giving an one example that our bots are now incorporated with such APIs that they can create an incident in the tool itself. So no monitoring whatsoever is required now, right? It can
Hmm.
create an incident for you, and you can just look at your dashboard and you can get to know if there is any open issues which needs to be addressed.
Got it. So, Mike, your point of view that there are a lot of POCs going on in the industry at the moment for digital workforce. You guys have been implementing in in different organizations.
Mhm.
So, what do you think? I mean, what is the future of digital workforce? Will the companies organization will accept it? Is it 100% uh, proof that it's gonna work? Or how it is exactly?
Sure, sure, sure. So, I think from my position, the way I would define the digital workforce is the summary of, people, processes, tools, and with the focus of examining that an output, right? And when
Uh-huh.
the RPA, buzz first took off 7, 8 years ago, everything
Mhm.
was very individualized, right? It was very process
Mhm.
focused, very structured in the way that, similar to the way that the process was designed was the way that we looked at it, right? Fast
Got it.
forward, you have multiple processes, doing multiple things at once, and to bring that together, there has to be a glue, right? And I think that's where Accelerate comes in. That's where our team comes in. We sit,
Mhm.
between the digital worker and the business, all with the goal of improving the output, right? And I think that's a big, differentiator for us. You know, when I talk to businesses, they'll say, "Well, we already have, someone fixing the bot." Well, that's great. How do they improve the output, right? Did they have a focus on the output? And you mentioned monitoring a few moments ago.
Uh-huh.
Monitoring with the intent of elevating the output from a sense of a more accurate bot, a more accurate process, a more valuable process to the business that they can turn around and leverage to be more valuable within that business. So when you talk about a digital workforce, to me, or the way I again look at a digital workforce, it's not necessarily you have a bot over here, the business over here, and a servicer such as us over here. It's a combination of an end-to-end loop from the business to us to the bot and back and forth, right? Uh,
Mhm.
with the goal of enhancing productivity and efficiency and effectiveness for all, right? Um, so yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, most of the organizations are saying that they have done the automation, right? The transformation is not happening exactly for them. So I don't know when it will be 100% proof that this is working at the moment. But yes, I think the companies are doing pilots and everything, and definitely they're gonna implement at full scale. I think.
Mhm. And I think
Yes.
and I'll take this journey from my own personal life, right? I went on a health journey some time ago, and the
Uh-huh.
biggest shift that I had in my mind is you're not going to change overnight, right? But you have to have individual markers that you strive for, and the combination
Mhm.
of those markers, when you look up over time, show a trajectory, right? And I think that's where a lot of businesses, they're looking for a big bang, right? And they were hoping that this pilot would solve, the for this big bang approach. However, it's more than that, right? It's this pilot is just a small part of an individual or a organizational journey that the business is on. And I think when it comes to business transformation, and I'm on my soapbox here, but literally transformation is a journey over time. It's not a we throw in one process, we automate one
Mhm.
process, we implement an agentic element to a non-structured process. It's the combination of those things over time, and you need a partner who can help you understand those different markers that you're achieving to go back and present to business stakeholders of what they've done. And then when you look up 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, even, right, what you've been able to do as a result of focusing your efforts uh,
Mhm.
from a structured journey to a journey that can evolve and adapt with business requirements and um, business challenges.
Yes, yes. And if I talk about the senior leadership in any organization, so mostly they don't want to increase the headcount actually, right?
Mhm.
But there is a lot of pressure at the moment, and they want to increase the productivity, efficiency, and that is, I think, where it is mostly useful, right? Digital workforce is something where it is really useful for that,
Yeah, I
not
agree.
just increasing the headcount. I think, right?
Right, right, right. I mean, it's the automations produce a ton of output, and I think the good to great organizations can leverage that output to funnel back into improvements to optimizations. not
Mhm.
only from a technical standpoint to the processes themselves, but to the business, how they can improve and leverage and increase their efficiency and effectiveness as a business. And again, going back
Mhm.
to the services that we provide, I think that's what separates us is we give the ability to leverage uh, automation output into business success.
That's great. Pratiksha, do you have any real world example which you can share with us?
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, so I would like to talk about. I was thinking of talking about this actually. So, in if we look at the real time picture of how any what is the job of any insurer, right? So, what first thing happens is that they receive documents on the email, right?
Hmm.
Then they save those documents in some kind of repository or some kind of database, right? And then they
Okay.
open each document manually. And if they have like and God forbid, I don't know, but I am guessing that each individual is at least handling like more than 50, 60 clients, right? So
Okay.
I don't think so right now at this era is it it is possible for any human to not make any mistake and go through all those documents, extract the meaningful information out of those documents, save it somewhere,
Hmm.
and then log it in their audit system also, and then check according to what information they have received on the claim. So I'm just taking example of a claim processing, right?
Got
So
it.
they match the numbers with the existing database. They check what kind of policy it is, and manually, right? Traditionally they were doing it manually. So if they are, I don't think so it is possible if they are even reviewing 50 documents in a day. I don't think so it is possible to do that without any mistakes. So I think the bots, the main reason here to use the bots is to ensure accuracy, right? Because
Hmm.
human mind, if we are doing any repetitive tasks, our minds wander off, right? We think of something creative whenever we are doing anything, any repetitive actions. We tend to think something creative, right? But bots don't have that capability, so that's a good thing, right? Bot can
Yeah.
continue to do the same job again and again without making any mistakes. So
Hmm.
bot does that for you. And as I said, as I explained earlier, it doesn't have to be structured data. It doesn't have to be in a defined format. It can be in any format. We do have a lot of capabilities which we can leverage in order to process any
Hmm.
kind of data, unstructured data as well, right?
Hmm.
Bot can save those files, documents which you have received in an email, or on in any way. If you have received any kind of claim processing document, it can save it in the folder, extract the meaningful data, save that data in your audit directories. And then if you give access to the bot to approve those claims
Hmm.
based on the information it has received, you can set those business rules that if a client has attached x number of pictures, and if those pictures are showing, it can read the pictures also. And if it is showing if it is fulfilling the business requirements, then bot can even process the claim, right? But if you don't
Okay.
want bot to take a call, then bot can send those transactions, send those claims to Action Center. You can pitch in, humans can work in loop with the bot, they can approve it, and that's how it
Okay.
gets processed, right? So yeah, I think now bot can do your job easily. You can if you want. So there are a lot of websites like insurance domain websites which clients are using in order to submit their claims. We can
Hmm.
integrate chatbots also with our automation. Automations can work in the background. They can just simply prompt what they need. So yeah, it's a huge possibility, a lot of possibilities. We can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So if I talk about traditional, the RP systems, so what were the drawbacks of those systems? Or if I talk about 5, 6 years back,
Yeah.
right? I'm not talking about the digital workforce.
Mm.
So why? I mean, there was a format issue, or what kind of the issues you guys were facing initially
Okay.
while implementing that base?
Yeah, so as I said, the very basic issue which we had at the time when we were when the bots did not have the AI integration capabilities. At that time, bots were only able to process structured data, right? There were
Mhm.
a lot of automation silos, right? So earlier, also this was an issue that there were not the API capabilities were not there, right? We were not able to integrate our bots with the APIs. So it was just what bots were doing was what we are doing, right? Like we can click on any page. It was just mimicking a human action. That's it. It was not able to do anything in the background. But now
Okay.
it is not just clicking on a web page or on UI for you, but it you can also integrate bots to take data from the background, right? It can
Okay.
access it, and it can, as I said, the major drawback was that it was rule based. Now it is not anymore, right? We have machine
Mhm.
learnings, we can create models, we can train them to take action. You Now we
Okay.
have action centers where bot is not restricted to just perform one action in a given situation. It
Mhm.
can even allow you to take a call, right? We have UiPath Insight. So if someone is working on a very high level, even for business, if they want to view the performance of the automation or overall ROI, also they can leverage UiPath Insights. So they can
Got it.
get the whole picture of how their how the automation is doing.